Hello, and welcome to the 42nd episode of the Queen Bee Book Club podcast. I'm Audrey.
And I'm Cher.
And we are your Queen Bees. And if you're wondering, hey, where's episode 41? That was the last episode. I misspoke when I said that it was episode 40 because we did 2 episode 39s, I am now realizing.
Good job researching that. Jess McCune is like, he's probably
nobody...
like, it's fingernails on a chalkboard to her.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I've never made a mistake in my whole life until now, so...
All right.
I'm glad that this is the first one.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I only realized it because I wanted to see, how many downloads we had on Podbean, and I was like, wait, 41 episodes? I know for a fact that I said last episode was episode 40. So I realized what I did was our Crazy Rich Asians movie episode and Valley of the Dolls Part 2. I said both of those were episode 39.
You know what? We're not perfect. We never claimed to be.
Deeply imperfect.
Imperfect. Another mistake.
Very important as a teacher to show that you have flaws so that your students know that it is okay for them to fail in your class.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the things I've learned. And they appreciate it.
Speaking from 2 girls who never once failed anything in all of high school. Pretty sure.
No, wasn't allowed.
Actually, I did pretty poorly in pre-calculus. I'm not going to lie to you.
I had
the
greatest pre-calc teacher in the entire universe, so I did pretty well. But, yeah, I mean, math, I got out of there as soon as I could.
I was deeply disinterested in pre-calculus.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that probably surprises anyone about us.
No.
We're like, math? No.
I mean...
I prefer the creative pursuits.
I mean, I've been trying to do everything in law school to avoid number classes, and
yeah,
one of my professors was like, oh, you want to do criminal? Well, make sure you take tax. I'm like, no. But he's like, you have to. He's like, listen, here you are, taking down a child pornography ring, and you can't get them on what you want. But guess what? They haven't paid their taxes for 10 years. So now you're nailing them on tax evasion. I'm like,
that's true. Such
a good argument, but hate that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing lately, I mean, it has nothing to do with math, but it is like an adult activity that I have been calling my pharmacy, my doctor's office, and my health insurance company because in the state of Maryland, it is the law that there is no shared cost for female contraceptives, specifically birth control medicine. However, when I recently picked up my prescription, it was about $100. And so...
Which is insane.
Yeah. So I have written my governor about the issue.
I'm sure they're going to get right back to you.
I really hope so. Well, because I've been playing like phone tag with all these 3 entities, and the pharmacy I think is just making stuff up to get me off the phone, and I think they've been making stuff up to my doctor too, because my doctor's office, I shouldn't blame my doctor because she hasn't participated in this scam. This is below her pay grade.
Yeah.
So every time her assistant calls me, she's like, well, this is what I heard. I'm like, CVS told me that, and first of all, stop calling the pharmacy. It's a health insurance issue. So finally, I messaged my health insurance, United Healthcare, and it was like, hey.
United Healthcare, are you listening?
Under Maryland law, there should be no shared cost for birth control, yet I paid $100. And they were like, oh, you have to submit an appeal. We also told you this last week. Here's, the conversation. I was like, okay, I remember, but thanks.
Hi, I remember, but that, I don't like that answer, so I called to see if I could get a different person on the line.
Well, it's mostly because my doctor first told me that no pre-authorization was necessary, and then was like, it's something to do with your deductible. And both of those things are things that CVS said, why is CVS making up stuff? It's like, if you don't know why, just say, call the insurance company. We just do what the scanner says.
You know, I've been beginning to believe that my local down the street CVS also does the same thing. Because I went to go pick up my birth control and their, like, system or whatever said that I had never been a customer there in my life. And I'm like, well, I've been coming here for probably 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why that would be the case. And anyway, like, they had to get, like, another person who then was somehow able to pull it up. But, like, then they were like, there's something wrong with, like, your file. So, I don't know. It just was, like, a huge thing.
They also switched my brand. So, I usually take Lorena, and they switched it to the Gianvi. And I was like, hey, why? They were like, it's a generic Yaz, so it doesn't matter.
But, like, some of those have different prices and stuff, too.
Yeah, so who knows? But...
and usually they tell you, they're like, oh, we're out of your specific type, but it's the same medicine. Can we give you this other one?
Yeah, didn't ask. The pharmacist was basically like, don't be a bitch about it. Just take it.
Oh my God.
We're very busy. It's like, all right, well, okay. And then, so I'm like talking to United Healthcare, and I said, I'm confused about why I have to submit an appeal in order for you to be in compliance with a law.
Well, that's the thing.
And they were like, that is part of the law. And I said, I never had to submit an appeal when I was under Blue Cross Blue Shield, but okay. And so they basically called my doctor's office and told them to submit this prior authorization or something. So hopefully it's taken care of. But I'm very proud of myself for, like, not letting this go, being a dog with a bone, waiting on hold many, many times with CVS, my doctor's office, and United Healthcare. But it also, I mean... And I realized that I'm very privileged in that this is one of the first times that I really realized this. But the healthcare system is broken.
Okay, okay. To be fair, also, we've only just turned 26.
That's true.
So, like, we haven't had that much of a time to do this by ourselves.
Yeah, well, and it mostly opened my eyes up to this idea that because healthcare is through your employer, you are really kind of... You're not limited. In an... Yeah, well, they make this big stink about how it's a marketplace and, like, it's about capitalism, and it's really not, because if it's through your employer, then you're not an empowered customer, because what am I going to do? Like, just go, like, I mean...
Well, the only other option is
find a husband who has better health insurance.
That is the answer. Just find a husband with better health insurance.
I mean, it might be what I have to do.
Well, I'm on the student health plan, so
Yikes.
welcome to paying $30 every time I do anything, period.
I mean, I just called my mom. I was like, I have a copay. Like, what is this insurance even for? Like, I pay monthly for it? Like, what's going on?
So, I ended up just not getting dental insurance because it's so bad. And, like, paying for my own personal dental plan because it, like, makes literally no sense. Like, they're like, well, if you pay $600, we'll cover up to $1,000.
No.
So I'm like, I'm paying $6,000 if, like, there's, for, like, probably just 2 cleanings a year, which I should schedule mine. I haven't done that yet, but I don't have time, so I'll do it later. But, and then, like, unless, like, I have to, like, get my jaw wired, it's, like, never going to be worth it.
Yeah. Jeez.
I don't even know that dentists do that, but you know what I mean? Like, something very serious. Dentally. Like, if I have to get my wisdom teeth removed.
Well, this has been...
I think those are dental surgeons, too. Who knows? I don't know.
I mean, that would definitely be your dental insurance that would do, like, wisdom teeth and stuff.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
I think you're right, because I think that's why Brendan never got his out, because he's never had dental insurance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, this has been dental insurance. All insurance is bullshit.
Well, and, like, not to make this political, but guess what? Things are only going to get worse.
Yeah, they are. # register to vote. # glam up the midterms. Like,
I
will say, so I do plan to vote to keep Larry Hogan in office, partially because, like, he is proven to be, like, if he's a very popular governor in Maryland. I'm sure that there are problems, but, like, the fact that he even worked to pass the law that, like, female contraceptives are under no shared cost, and including Plan B medication, I just feel like that to me says, like, clearly you are putting your constituents over, like, dogmatic party beliefs, because he is a Republican, but I feel like he's one of the good guys.
Yeah, I mean, I just, like, can't...
I mean, maybe. I mean,
who the F knows? I mean, I just can't believe that Brett Kavanaugh is going to be our Supreme Court justice. Like, it is so upsetting.
It's very disheartening.
When I found out Susan Collins was going to vote for him to be confirmed, I cried and closed my office door and, like, sat on my couch and was just like, I can't go on.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
It's very upsetting. I think that thing that Laura Dern posted was just so great, because I do think that there is a distinct possibility. I think that the most likely scenario, and again, like, obviously not the truth, because I wasn't even born in 1982. Be another 10 years until I hit the scene. But I think the most likely scenario is that he was wasted,
blackout drunk,
joking around, and therefore not aware that what he was doing was assault, and that's why he doesn't remember it as such, or doesn't remember the event at all. Because if you're just like, if it's just another party where you're, like, joshing around with your friends, you're not going to remember it.
I just think it's too much, like, sounds like a pattern of behavior, though.
Yeah.
But I think it also is, like, very possible that, like, he acts different when he's drunk. And he, like, I mean, 100%. I think also the reality too is, like, drunk people don't realize how horrible they are. Or, like, not even how horrible, but they don't realize that their behavior seems really off.
I've never assaulted anyone when drunk, but I've definitely woken up the next morning and been like, oh, why did I feel the need to be so aggressive?
You definitely are a drunk yeller.
Yeah.
For sure. But, yeah, and, I mean, I don't know. But for me, the thing is, it's like, this is not a criminal court. We're not putting him in jail. Like, this is not a beyond a reasonable doubt kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And so, if you had any kind of an inkling in a job interview that somebody may have assaulted somebody in college or in high school, I think you would be like, like, maybe we can find a better candidate. Because guess what? He is not the only fish in the goddamn sea.
Exactly. It's
also, like,
upsetting.
Let's put a woman in there. Like,
yeah.
Let's just, like, try to, like, put somebody in there who, like, didn't go to an Ivy League law school and, like, you know, maybe is a woman. Maybe, you know, let's throw another person of color in there. I mean, it's just, like, maybe not a straight person. Like, I don't know. Like, it's, like, it's, like, I think people try to say it's like, oh, like, we have a diverse Supreme Court. It's like, if you look at it, if you look at it really, though, well, it's like, well, there are a couple women in there. There are, like, a couple people of color. It's like, well, it's like they're all either Catholic or Jewish. They all went to, like, either Harvard or Yale. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. It seems like it's very easy to have more of a groupthink position when you have people who, like, are not coming in and, like, challenging the status quo. Which is not to say, you know, like, I want RBG on there forever, so... Oh,
for sure.
I'm not targeting any of this at her. I'm talking more about, like, the white men, but...
Well, I also think that... And Clarence Thomas.
Clarence Thomas, who, like, went to Holy Cross, and it's embarrassing, so... He should be shaking in his boots right now. Like...
I just think that we should revisit the idea. It's a lifetime appointment?
I think lifetime appointments for judges are a bad idea, period.
I think that they should be revisited. Like, RBG, she can stay forever. But it should be revisited.
RBG is also sharp as a tack.
Exactly.
Like, most people, once they reach that age, are not thinking the same way that they were when they were 50. And so, I don't know. I do think that it's like, we're depending on these people to make some of the most important decisions in the country. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are getting up there in age. This doesn't apply to RBG. She's doing great. Clarence Thomas is, I think, 85. So maybe it's time for him to fade into the background.
Oh, gosh.
Although with him, though, too, I'm like, okay, well, if he leaves, then, oh, well, like, it'll be, like, it can't get much worse with the next person they put on.
Ideally wait until there's a new president to leave.
I mean, that would be the best case scenario, but I think maybe will do it so that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's annoying.
It is annoying.
And it's like, seriously, Trump is going to get 3 picks.
I know, and we couldn't get Merrick Garland.
Merrick Garland, I feel terrible for that man. I mean, he's probably sitting there like, I never assaulted anyone. Like, and the Republicans wouldn't even meet with me.
But I think it's also, like, that's another reason why we should not make it a lifetime appointment, because it makes it so goddamn arbitrary when people leave. And so it just happens if people are old at the same time, then all of a sudden we get one person who's appointing, like, 6 justices. It's like, that's not fair. Like, that's not how it should work.
Yeah, and it's a lifetime appointment, so it's like then...
We're stuck with them.
Yeah, and it's very possible that, like, the next president could, you know... I mean, it's just like,
Things are just horrible. I mean...
It's rough.
Canada is looking better and better.
Oh, that Justin Trudeau. So handsome. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, that's also why it's been so nice to have To All the Boys I've Loved Before. It's like, because it's been, like, work is really stressful. Like, being a first-year teacher, guys, like, I don't know if you know how hard it is, but it's so hard. And there's so much work involved. I feel like I owe thank you notes to every single teacher I've ever had in my whole life just for, like, reading anything I've ever written and giving me feedback on it. Because that is so time-consuming. It takes a lot of time. It is, and it's just like...
And also the thing that's bad, too, is that I think
it's
kids
so
don't
hard to
read
teach
it a
someone
lot.
how to write. Yeah, I mean, so it's just, it is so hard, and it's just like, I feel like my whole brain is being reprogrammed, and I'm, like, learning to organize things in a new way. It's just crazy. Because I'm not a type A person, I don't think. And I feel like to be a teacher, you kind of have to develop some type A systems.
Well, I will say that I have not always been type A. If you knew me in high school, you would say I was not type A at all. In fact, I had papers scrunched to the bottom of a backpack and, like, never knew when anything was due. But,
yeah. I
don't know. Then I went to college and, like, developed OCD, and here I am today.
But yeah, so we're talking about the second half of To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and also in my need for, like, because the news is awful and because work is hard, I ordered the other 2 books that are in the series and read them in about 4 days. In, like, a mania, which I don't really know was, like, making me less stressed out, because then I was just pouring all of my stress into, like, what's going to happen with Laura Jane and Peter Kavinsky. But I also, it was like, I feel like when you make a desperate purchase online when you use your phone to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was, like, I was, like, lying in my bed. And part of it is because, like, I don't use my personal laptop as much as I used to because I'm on my school device a lot, because most of the things I do on the computer now are for school.
Oh, you have your own computer for school?
Yeah, well, I have a device, so I have a Microsoft Surface.
Oh, okay. Do you like that thing?
Yeah, it's okay. I like that it has Microsoft Office on it. That's cool.
Okay.
But yeah, so I was like, you know what? I really just need those 2 books. I don't specifically have time to read them, but I need them.
Listen, I barely
so
finished
I got
the
out
second
that phone.
And you finished 3 books in that time, so. Like, I woke up at 7 this morning to do it, so.
Yeah.
But this is the kind of book, though, like, you can read the entire thing in one sitting.
Yeah, I think that is part of it. It was such a quick read, and so it could be like, oh, I kind of want to take a break from doing a little bit of work, so I'm just going to read, and all of a sudden you're, like, halfway through the book, so.
A lot of the chapters are short, too, so it's like, even if you just have a couple minutes, you really can just read a few. Yeah,
you just fly. All right, so what do you think about the second half of the book?
Okay, things just, like, really picked up drama-wise.
Yeah.
Things went to an 11 real quick.
Yeah.
I liked it. I really liked this book in general. I thought it was definitely like a nice break from law school.
Yeah.
I think that, so I have not, as you know, watched the movie yet, as I was supposed to, but
whatever. We'll talk about the movie and like either on Insta Story or another time.
Okay. So, I guess like I still am not 100% sold on Peter Kavinsky.
So I wonder if the actor that plays him in the movie is incredibly charming. And they're just like, the two of them make these little faces at each other that are incredibly charming. And so I do wonder because Lauren's reading the first To All the Boys I've Loved Before currently, and she was like, Peter Kavinsky's different in this one. I'm like, he gets better, and he gets very, very sweet in the second two books too. But he definitely is a little bit more of a normal high school boy, I would say. Whereas in the movie, you're just like, he's so charming, I don't understand how he's real.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely seems like imperfect to me, I guess.
Yes.
In the
which
book,
I think is nice.
Which is fair, yeah. And I think also, like, Josh, like, a little bit to me reminds me of how I feel about Lorelai and Christopher. Where it's like, this feels very natural, and like I like their like chemistry, and I like how they you know what I mean. Like, I like how they interact together, and it's like,
okay, so I feel that way about Lorelai and Christopher, but I don't know if I was always just like, Josh is not the one, so like,
well, I mean, I think for me, I always was like, listen, like, ultimately she would never, like, she can never be with him because he was with her sister, and like she just isn't willing to cross that boundary. Josh sure is, but like,
yeah,
Largene is not.
Okay, in the movie he does not kiss her.
Okay, well that was a lot of drama.
I think it's a better plot point. Like, I wish he kind of had kissed her in the movie. The closest they get is he kind of starts to imply, like, if I had known I would have lost you as a friend after Margot and I broke up. He starts to say, I would never have.
Like, dated Margot?
Yeah, and she's like, don't finish that sentence, and like kind of walks away. I think what is ultimately the like pushover into Peter's side is that Josh is constantly kind of forcing Largene into this like pedestal box of like, she's a good girl.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that.
Whereas I think like Peter is able to like see her as like an actual human woman. And like when there's that whole controversy after like the hot tub. Like,
yeah, where Genevieve, yeah, that is a hot little scene.
In the movie, I was like, I don't know that this is appropriate for me to be this excited about teenagers. Like, this is horrible, but also so good.
I mean, listen, like, Gossip Girl, like, think about how excited we were about Chuck and Blair. I mean,
I know it. Yeah, so, yeah, that whole bit, Genevieve, I mean, you were worried about her, and rightfully so.
The thing is that, like, with the Genevieve stuff, it's like, I was like, holy shit, like, maybe Genevieve is not going to do anything. Because I'm getting close to the end. I'm like, she still has not made her move. And then, or I thought, like, she was going to do something more, like, put herself in Peter's way. Or something, like, I thought it would be more, like, underhanded and, like, behind the scenes. But this was brutal.
Yeah, and I think it's so devastating because...
Did she see them? Is that what happened?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's not clear in the book.
Right. Well, I mean, it's not really clear in the movie either, but it's just like...
You just know Peter didn't tell people.
Well, okay, so in the movie, they combine kind of elements from the second book as well, because in the second book, you find out somebody had videoed it and somebody posts it on Instagram, and that somebody is Genevieve.
Oh my god, Genevieve posted that on Instagram?
Yeah, and it goes like viral, and it looks in the video like they're having sex, but they're not, and so it's like a whole, so in the movie that happens, and she's like, Lara Jean is still upset with Peter.
So does that happen in one of the second books?
It happens like immediately in the second book.
Okay.
Because, so the first book ends and she's writing the letter to Peter, like saying, I want to be with you. And then the second book picks up with her going over to his house to give him the letter. And so they get together, and then that's when the video leaks. And so, like, there's that whole element. But in the movie, it's like she gets upset with Peter because, like, after they have their, like, hot tub escapade, he like goes to talk to Jen, and so Jen finds Lara Jean the next day and is like, I just think it's really cool that you're so cool with us being friends, and like you're not upset that he like slept in my room last night. And he was like, what? Like, that's not...
Wait, what?
I mean, like, I did go and talk to her, but like we didn't do anything.
He went to talk
like,
to Genevieve?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of to say, like, it's all... I mean, you don't see it happening. It's like... But it's implied he just went over there to say it's, like, over. Yeah, between them or whatever. But then, like, while they're, like, not speaking, that's when the hot tub, like, video leaks. And then she's like, are you going to do anything about this? Or are you just going to let everyone think that we had sex? And he's like, if anyone says anything about Lara Jean, I'll kill you.
Like, that's what he comments, or what?
No, he, like... Well, because in the movie, she like comes to school after after like break, and after the video has leaked, and she like someone has posted a picture, like a still from the video on her locker, and wrote like, it's always the ones you don't expect. And she's like really upset about it, and she's like, she says to Peter, because he's like, what is wrong? Like, what's going on? And she, like, shows him her locker. And she's like, are you just going to let everyone think that we had sex when you know we didn't? And he's like, hey, like, in the hallway. Like, listen up, everybody. Like, nothing happened in the hot tub. Not that it's anyone's business. But if I hear anyone talking about me or Lara Jean or, like, what happened that night, I'll kick all of your asses. Which is, you know, it's nice. But... I think what's so devastating about that is that Lara Jean was able to, like, let go and, like, express herself and, like, not think. And then it's, like, really thrown back in her face. Like, to have that, like, because I think, like, you don't want to be in your head when you're, like, hooking up, you know? It's like you want to just be able to, like, live in the moment. And then when you're brought and, like, forced to, like, watch that happen, it's like, oh God, like, and you get all self-conscious again, you know?
Yeah, no, totally.
Especially as, like, a 16-year-old girl.
Totally.
Like, it was a big deal for her to, you know, like, be free in that moment. And then it's like, she's, like, punished for it, which is devastating.
It is devastating. I mean, I think also, though, like, I think my main complaint with Peter is that, like, I don't like the Genevieve element. That she's, like, kind of constantly, like, he's like, don't ask me to not care about her. And it's like, well, she's a bitch. So, like...
Yeah, and that continues to be, like, that kind of drives a wedge between them in the second book.
Okay.
I think that Jenny Han in general handles the conflict between the two of them very well. And like, how it happens in the first, second, and third. Because the second book, a lot of the conflict of her wanting him to stop hanging out with Genevieve, because you basically find out, like, Genevieve's dad is cheating on her mom, and, like, Genevieve is, like, the only one she wants to talk to about it is Peter. And he's like, I have to be there for her, and I can't tell you what's going on.
I'm sorry. And, like, I just
which is annoying.
But I also just don't, like...
But he also, I think, realizes, so, and, like, Lara Jean's really upset, partially because her boyfriend is, like, talking to...
his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, but also because she's very insecure about, like, Peter is, like, her first real relationship, and, like, a lot of, like, her first kiss and her first kind of, like, hookup, and Jen was Peter's first of all those things, and so I think she's, like, she just feels insecure about... like, she's the second, you know? So there's, like, that element going on, but there's also, and, like, he admits later that he was just nervous about, like, being in a new relationship and, like, especially after the video leaks, he was like, I just, like, hated that I couldn't, like, things were happening to you because of me, and I was just, like, going back to, like, what felt safe and what I understood.
Which is
because
Genevieve?
I was, like, scared. Yeah.
I don't accept that.
I think that what's nice about Peter and Lara Jean is a lot of times their conflict is a result of them liking each other so much that their little 16-year-old's hearts don't know what to do with it. And, like, Lara Jean is, like, pretty mean to Peter because she likes him. You know what I mean? And, like, he's kind of, like, I like that they're both kind of in the first book, like, oh, my, like, stop. Like, you're so annoying.
Yeah. No, I think that's cute. I don't know. I just don't, I don't know. That makes me nervous. I think if I was Lara Jean, I would feel furiously insecure.
And that's happening. Exactly how she does feel. And so they break up in the middle of the second book. But then he kind of realizes, oh, like, Genevieve, like, she was going through something, but she was also manipulating me. And because, like,
which is
his
so
dad...
obvious.
Well, I think that, like, Peter has trouble, like, saying that to Genevieve, though, because his dad left his mom. And so he's like, I'm never going to be... Cher's rolling her eyes, let the record show. I feel like I'm being such a Peter apologist. I'm like, no, listen.
Well, number one, I haven't read the books. I just...
No, you read the book.
I read
the
first book only.
But I also, am predisposed to like him because of how charming Noah, whatever his last name is.
Whereas I'm skeptical of him because...
Yeah, which I understand. I almost was like, I feel like you should watch the movie first or something.
I mean,
But it's good to get, I feel like it's good to get this other perspective and and to show, like, it is different, like, how you come to different pieces of media, like, your perception of characters based on, like, did you watch the movie first or, like...
It's true. I also think, from the literally 5 minutes of the movie that I've seen, which was this morning, I think that they should have cast 2 different people for, or, like, different characters for different people playing Josh and Peter, because I can hardly tell them apart.
Yeah. I do really like in the book, I really like that conflict. So the Christmas party does not happen in the movie, and I really like that conflict of Peter being like, first of all, you kissed my girlfriend. So I do like that element of when he's jealous. Because it's like, we're not even really dating, like, but you were right. And he's like, as far as he's concerned, we were really dating.
Right.
And so I like that. I like that element.
I also just really like that confrontation. Party. Like, I just was like, oh God, can't wait till Christmas. Like, I love all the parts where it's like the family tradition and like them like all doing their like roles and stuff.
Yeah.
I cried when they got a puppy.
Yes. I mean, Kitty she really holds up.
Kitty's great. Kitty is used as such a pawn throughout the entire book by Lara Jean. Like, she's like, guess what? Peter is Kitty's favorite now, Josh. It's like, screw you.
That was mean.
That's a low blow.
You know what's great, though, is when Peter and Lara Jean break up in the second one, Kitty busts into Lara Jean's room and she's like, why on earth did you 2 break up? He doesn't view Genevieve that way. You're an idiot. And then like leaves. And the next day, she like misses the bus on purpose. And Lara Jean is like, what are you doing? And then Peter gives her a ride to school.
Like, so she texts them. She's like, missed the bus.
Yeah. But it is very sweet. So the third book is all about like the whole Genevieve thing is resolved. And the third book is all about their senior year. And, like, are they going to stay together? Should they stay together? Because they find out they hope to go to the same college, but it doesn't work out.
Peter didn't get in because he's not as smart.
No, actually. So he gets a lacrosse scholarship, and then Lara Jean isn't accepted. But she gets into, like, another good school, and so there's conflict there. And, like, Lara Jean goes upstairs to get something, and Kitty says to Peter, like, are you still, like, I know Lara Jean's not going to the college that's, like, close to home where he's going. but are you still gonna visit, like, and hang out with me? And he was like, je dois. She's like, okay. And she's like, okay, well, like, or will you still visit even if Lara Jean and you break up? And he's like, we're not gonna break up. And she's like, but, like, even if you do, like...
She's like, listen, I've been through this game before with Margot.
Yeah, she was like, Josh said that he would visit, and he kind of stopped coming over. And Peter is like, first of all, I'm no Josh. And second of all, Kitty, you and I have our own thing. You're not getting rid of me. Like, even Lara Jean and I are not breaking up, but even if we do, like, we are still friends. And I was like, oh,
I know, that's sweet.
Precious. So... there's really good stuff like that in the other books. I think one of my favorite things about this series is I think that Jenny Han is really smart about how she kind of depicts and deals with, like, teen sexuality.
It's not too over the top.
It's not too over the top, and it's also, like, so in the second book... Lara Jean and Peter are kissing, and Lara Jean just, like, out of nowhere is like, I'm not ready to have sex. And he's like, I know.
Aww, sweet girl.
It's okay. And because she's just really nervous, and she's like, well, do you wish that we were? And he was like, I mean, there's no rush, but, I mean, I do want to one day, but, like, and it's like, Lara Jean is both able
That's, like, actually, like, pretty much the best response you could have.
Yeah, and so it's
because it's not like you're like, I don't want to have sex with you either.
Right.
But it's like, and it's like, I'm also like not rushing you.
Yeah, and so it's like, and at the same time, Lara Jean is able to, in the second and third book, both want to eventually have sex with Peter and not be ready for it and have that be totally okay, and also not have that be the primary conflict in their relationship.
That's exactly like, it's not what you want in this book.
Yeah, and, like, especially in the third book, too, where it's, like, they've been together for a year, and it's just, like, Peter will sometimes joke, because she's like, I want to wait until we're in college to do it, and he's like, okay, like, can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. And so it's just, like, really nice, but to have it not be, like, the central like, there's never Peter being like, oh, like, maybe we could do it now, though. It's, like, totally on her terms. And there's even a scene where, like, Lara Jean is like, I think I'm ready. And they kind of, they don't start to have sex, but it's like, they're, like, going to. And then Peter's like, I don't want to do it this way. And it's basically because he thinks that, because they're both nervous that they're going to break up before college. And he thinks that Lara Jean is trying to, like, close the chapter on them. And he's like, I don't want to have sex with you this way. I don't want it to be like this. And he, like, leaves. And it's very sad, but also it's, like, you see that it's equally important to him.
Yeah.
How they, like, have their first time, as opposed to just being like, whatever, like, I just want to do it.
Yeah.
Don't care what the context is.
I mean, is it realistic as a depiction of teenage boys? Don't know, but...
Not sure about it. There's also a scene in the third book where he, like, helps her reenact like, he surprises her on her birthday and, like, reenacts a scene from 16 Candles that 100% made me cry because it was so sweet. I don't know that anyone would actually do that.
No.
As a teen.
No, I don't think so.
But the idea that there is someone who wrote that down.
I mean, now they have, like, promposals and stuff.
That's true.
Which is, like...
Peter's promposal is very funny. He wants it to... So in Sleepless in Seattle, they're at the top of the Empire State Building, and Meg Ryan's character finds Tom Hanks' son's bear, and that's how they actually end up meeting. And so they go on a senior trip to New York City, and Peter tries to, like, leave a backpack on the Empire State Building.
Oh my god, they think he's a terrorist? Will find
it, yeah.
Oh my god.
He's like, no, it's a promposal. It's not.
Oh my god.
So very sweet.
So do they have sex in the book or no?
They don't.
I like that. I'm glad.
Yeah. Yeah, so they don't do it. They're, like, able to kind of talk about it.
But like, let me just ask, though. He does get her that locket, though, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I mean, I knew it, but...
So he gets it for her for Valentine's Day,
Oh my God,
and
for
she's
Valentine's Day? So far out.
So thrilled. She's like so happy. And then when they break up in the second book, he like is like, obviously I'm gonna need that back.
No!
But then on her birthday, they're still broken up, and he's like, I want you to have it. Like, I'm gonna win you back, and I'm gonna earn you again, and like you're the only person who should have this necklace.
It's a $400 necklace. It's a little bit extravagant. Although it's his
mom's store.
Yeah, so he got it for free. Or at a steep discount. Or his mom
becomes a little shit starter though.
I could see that.
So in the third book, because he's got this scholarship, so he gets a scholarship to UVA, and
where are they supposed to be
Lara
living?
Jean, apparently Virginia. The movie is set in Oregon.
Right.
So I was really confused. I don't know why they made that change, but like, whatever. Lara Jean gets into UNC Chapel Hill.
Okay.
Like, she's waitlisted and then she gets in. And like after beach week, which is when like Lara Jean's like, I'm ready to have sex. And Peter's like, I don't want to do it this way. And leaves. He comes home and tells his mom, like, I'm transferring to UNC.
No!
I want to be with Lara Jean. And so his mom is like, Lara Jean, like, he'll never end things with you, but he's starting to make a lot of decisions based on you, and I don't, like, want him to, and so I want you to end it with him. And she's like, what?
That is inappropriate.
Yes. And she ends up doing it because she feels so bad. She's like, I don't want you to come to UNC because of me. And he's like, got it. So you talk to my mom. Super. But then they end up staying together at the end of the series, but it's like a realistic, basically they decide neither of us wants to break up, so let's just stay together. And the series ends like the night before they leave for college. So they're just like full of all this hope and like teen belief. And you're like, maybe they'll stay together, maybe they won't, but like,
no matter what, it was a great first boyfriend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I would never tell any of my students to stay with their high school boyfriend through college, but Peter and Lara Jean should stay together forever, is my general feeling.
This would be my advice. I would say there's no reason that, number one, you need to know every single thing that's going on in that person's life in college. Like, I think you should, like, sort of, like, go to college with the understanding, like, maybe we'll hook up with other people, like, and that's okay. But, like, come Christmas break, love to see you, and we can pick up where we were.
Yeah.
Sort of. Because, I mean, I don't know. I think that a little bit, and my mom has, like, talked about this at length, where she's like, it just sucks. Like, all of you guys that have this social media that shows everyone what you're doing, whereas, like...
keep a couple secrets.
Yeah, keep a few... but I think it's also, like, there's so much stuff about, like, oh, like, they posted an Instagram together, like, this means this. Or, like, oh, I saw them together on their Snap story. Like, it's like, you really can't, like, have... I don't know. I think it's changing. I think that, like, I certainly have become more private as time has gone on. And, like, I think Mary-Kate's generation, it seems like, largely is a little more private.
Yeah.
Or maybe not private, but at least, like, curated. Whereas our generation, we posted literally everything.
Yeah, I mean, some things come up on Facebook from when I was in high school, and I was like, I don't know.
Because we had
to share
status
that.
updates. Mm-hmm. And we just, like, we overshared so much.
Yeah.
Like, I would post stuff in high school, like, basically, like, cryptic messages, like, to whatever boy was the central focus at the time. And just to see, like, could he figure it out? I don't know. Usually no, because boys aren't that smart.
No, they're not.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess, like, I just think there's no reason why, like, you can't talk and, like, still be friends, but I just wouldn't, like, stay committed 100% when you go to college. Because, I don't know, there's just, like, a lot of other people out there, and even if you get together again after college, like...
Then you know. Yeah, I think that's true. Well, and I think the reason that you tend to feel different, it's like the reason that books end with like lovers kissing instead of them living like their life afterward is because that's like a nice closing of the chapter, and like a nice, like, life after that is hard. And so there has to be conflict, especially if there's a story.
Right.
And so it's like, well, like, it's just nicer. Like, my favorite kind of rom-com is the kind that in the end credits will have like them being happy together in their life. But I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean you want a sequel, because if there's a sequel, they usually break up. And they might end up back together.
Well, think about Sex and the City 1 and 2. Like, wish they didn't exist.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, like, Sex and the City is a good example of, like, do Big and Carrie really belong together? No. But is Big the male character that we've all invested the most in? Yes.
That's true.
And so it's like, should high school lovers stay together forever? Not necessarily, but if we've invested in Peter Kavinsky and their relationship, it's like, yeah, I would like them to end up together at the end.
Well, I mean, it's like Gossip Girl. It's like, really, should Serena and Dan be getting married? No. They never should be. Blair and Chuck, yeah, they sure should.
Uh-huh.
But I kind of like that Nate ends up alone. Like, they don't have him marry Jenny or whatever.
Yeah. Well, but I also like, though, that, so they end up together at the end of the third book, but it's also like a very high school, like, they're just full of hope, you know? It's like they have their whole lives ahead of them and they're full of that hope, but you know, it's like, oh, you're like 18, and
yeah.
I really hope there's not another one, because I don't want to see either of you hurt.
Also, like,
it's nice to end it here.
High school is like the time that we want. Like that's like, skip college. College is never fun to follow in books or movies.
No,
it really isn't.
It's too, like, you're just becoming who you are too much. Where it's like high school, it's like you kind of think you know who you are, but it's not really who you are.
I also think just like mechanically in high school, like, you can't avoid people. Like, yeah. So like people, like, everyone is forced together always. Whereas in college, yeah. It's like, it's not realistic.
I could never see that person again if I didn't want to.
Totally. I mean, you went to a bigger college than I did, but
oh yeah.
It's just not that fun. So yeah, I hope there's.
I will say Fangirl by Rainbow.
I want a new series focusing on Kitty.
Yes. I will say Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell is a really good book about a freshman year of college.
I have not read that.
It's pretty good. It's about, like, she goes to college and, like, she has a twin sister, and her twin is like, I don't want to share a room with you. I want to, like, us to branch out. And so it's, like, about her, like, having to, like, define herself, like, outside of her sister. And it's really good. And there's, like, a love story. It's great. Highly recommend if you haven't read it.
Okay, well, as you know, my main focus on this book has not been on Peter Kavinsky, but has been on the sister relationships.
Yes.
Which, like, didn't have as much in this section. Well, I mean, there's a lot of Kitty, but, like, Margot comes back. I was, like, feeling sick to my stomach during the time that Margot was mad at her.
Yeah, and tattles.
That is so fucked up.
Yeah, that is uncool. Well, I like, though, that it's, like, Margot's whole thing is that she's very worried that she, like, because she goes away to college, that it's, like, she's not needed anymore. Yes. Because her whole thing is that she's, like, indispensable to the family because she's so perfect. Which is, they have a nice moment in the movie where she's like, I don't know, I just felt like you and Kitty don't need me anymore. And Laura Jean says, Margot, look what happened. Like, I have a sex tape out there and I've never even had sex. Like, I clearly need you.
Well, I think, like, because this book is from Laura Jean's perspective, like, we don't understand that, like, Margot is super homesick, and that's why she's being kind of a bitch.
Yes.
And so, like, which I think, like, is also, like, relatable. As, like, the older sister, like, I went away to college, and, like, everybody else was, like, together for, like, years. And so I'm like, what the heck? Like, you guys do, like, new things that, like, I wasn't a part of. Or, like, what the heck? Like, why did you make orange creamsicle cookies and not my cookie? So, like, I think that's very relatable.
Yeah, I mean, like, whenever my family sends me a photo of all of them together at dinner, I'm like, great, I'm going to Photoshop myself into it.
Is your family all together now?
Yeah.
Marshall's about to leave, though, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I genuinely worry about my mom when that happens.
She'll be all right.
I was thinking the other day, I feel like one of them, maybe my dad, because he needs a project. If you're listening, Dad, I love you, but you need a project. I think he should run for the school board.
Ooh! Oh my god, I would love your dad in public office.
Yeah. Well, like, he used to love to go to, like, a town meeting about his company, like, advocate for them. So I'm like, I feel like it might be something you'd be good at. So I plan to tell him that at some point.
Yeah. Now, this is the first time that everybody's been out of the house.
How are your parents?
I think fine. I mean, like, I think that, like, my mom's pretty busy. And my dad, dad is, like, gone a lot of the time. So I think they just are kind of doing their own thing. I think my mom has kind of more freedom to travel and, like, do stuff. She was up in Reno visiting her parents their weekend. She's visiting Mary Kate next weekend. So
nice.
I think, I think they're doing fine. But yeah, so I definitely, like, related to that sort of feeling that Margot had, but I also, like, she made it about the Josh thing when it was, like, really, it was not at all about the Josh thing.
Yeah. Well, and I also think, so in the movie, Josh never kisses her, and so it's more like it's just revealed, like, Margot still finds out the same way, because it's like, Peter, I can't wait for you to see this scene, it's so fucking funny. So Peter comes to Lara Jean's house, basically, it's like after the ski trip, and he's like, I need to talk to you, like, it's not what you think about me and Jen, and I didn't tell anybody about
the hot tub,
like, us, like, yeah, like, it's not like that. And she's like, physical stuff might not be a big deal to you. And he's like, why on earth would you think that? It was a big deal to me. And at one point he says to her, she's like, look, I know I was always second place. And he's like, you were never second place. And you're like, oh, that's so sweet. And then she's like, I just need you to go. Like, my sister's here. Like, you should go. And he's like, no, like, just please listen to me. And then Josh comes out of the bushes, basically, with, like, a hood on. And he's like, she asked you to go, man.
Oh, my God.
It's like, Josh, get the fuck out of here. Like, were you watching, like, from the porch next door? Like, what? And Peter's like, what? Like, he calls him a Bon Iver wannabe.
That's what Peter calls Josh? That's awesome. Yeah. What a burn.
I know. And Josh says something, and he's like, and Peter's like, this is about you still being in love with Josh. It's not about me. And Margot is like, you're in love with Josh? And it's rough. And she's like, Margot, no. And Josh is like, I didn't know she was home yet.
Didn't you just say my sister's here? Although he probably thought a different sister.
No, so Peter knew that Margot was home, but Josh didn't. Because he was like, just because she doesn't want to be with you, Kavinsky. And it's like, ugh, Josh. So that's kind of, and so I think Margot is better able to forgive Lara Jean, and, like, she doesn't get as mad at first. And also it's like the hot tub thing happened, or like the video is posted to Instagram, so it's like, oh, we've got bigger fish to fry than me being mad at you. But it's like, if you think that your sister's, like, kissing your boyfriend while you're away, I mean, I might tattle on her about her sex tape too.
You just don't. I mean, no matter how mad you are, you just don't.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is such a line cross of, like, especially because Lara Jean and Peter did not have sex in the hot tub.
Right.
And she tells her dad that they did.
Right. Well, and I think the way sisters resolve conflict, you don't involve your parents. Like, you can do something else mean.
Yeah.
But, like, it has to be at the same level.
Okay.
And so, like, I think that was a big betrayal on Margot's part. And I would never have done that. Savannah would also have never made out with my ex-boyfriend. But, like, Even if she did.
She wouldn't have been interested.
I wouldn't, no. Even if she did, I would not have told my dad, like, a rumor about her. No, I think, Savannah, like, never told on me for anything. Except for the one time that I ran away, and that's because she was worried about me. So.
Well.
And my parents did not care, which I've also already told that story on the podcast.
I love that story. I love any glimmer into high school Cher.
God bless her. Yeah. High school Cher did bring a boyfriend to college, and she doesn't recommend it to all those young high school listeners out there.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up our discussion on...
Wait, what did you rate it on Goodreads?
Oh, wait. Oh, I gave them all 5s.
Okay, so I
it's just,
I gave it a 5
hits
also.
such a pleasure center of mine of, like, high school romance rom-com. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Not give it a 5? Like,
no, I know. Well, so I gave it a 5 also, but, like, what it really is a 4.5.
Okay, fair enough.
But, like, you know, it's such a tough. Good for you. Can you give us more stars, please? I think it's just too hard.
Can we have half?
Yeah, give us
half stars, please.
Yeah. I don't know, but I really liked it, and I would read the other ones. Probably not in the same amount of time as you did, but
I wouldn't recommend that either because I was like a crazy person. Well, it's just like once something gets like in my brain and it's like I need to know how it ends. It's just like I just need to like live out the obsession until it's over, and then I can move on with my life.
That only gets me with stuff that are mysteries. Like you know what I mean? Like it has to be set up as like something to uncover, whereas like this is just like living in the present and seeing how it unfolds.
Or like a will they, won't they? Yeah. I'm like, oof, it's gonna stick with me.
Also I just want to give a shout out to their dad. Just love him. Just a sweet single dad doing his best.
He is. Yeah.
But I also like
played by Aiden in the movie.
I know. Who like is perfect casting.
In the movie, he like literally gives her condoms before she goes on the ski trip. No. He's like, I don't think that you're ready. He goes, now as your father, I don't think that you're ready to have sex, but I do want you to be safe. And she was like, oh, she's like, that is not going to happen. And he's like, pulling out is not effective.
Oh my God, that's right, because he's a doctor, right?
Yeah, he's an OB.
Oh my God.
He's like, I do want you to be safe. And she's like, I
hate this so much. Oh my God.
He goes, all right, have fun. And she goes, well, I have a lot of rubbers now for that.
Oh my God. No. He like, the character a little bit reminds me of the dad in 8th grade. Mm-hmm. Where it's just like, he's just trying his best. He doesn't really understand much of it, but like, he's like, okay, well,
I'm here for this.
I'm always here for you. Whatever. Anyway. Well, miss you. Glad to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm glad law school's going well.
Oh, can we read The Cursed Child next?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, because I'm seeing that in like a couple of weeks.
Okay, so. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm sure I'll talk to you like in 5 seconds.
All right. Well, see you later. Bye. Oh, and thanks for listening, I guess. Okay. All right. Bye, everybody.